watching the news at 6. I'm Fidelia. Our main headlines. Vice Chancellor of UHAS, Professor John Japong, talks to UHAS-based TV.
After 5 years of being the Pro-Vice Chancellor, they were looking for a Vice Chancellor here for a University of Health and Allied Sciences. And the Vice Chancellor must of necessity be a health professional.
Also tonight, the Student Representative Council will appoint an electoral commissioner tomorrow as the time for elections draws nearer. UHAS celebrates its international community on UHAS International Day. And 2 UHAS students receive a scholarship worth $1,000. Hello and welcome to the news at 6, and do stay with us for all the latest news on campus. To our first story, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Professor John Japong, has granted a rare interview to UHAS-based TV. In the interview, he talks about his 6-year stay in UHAS, what the future of UHAS would be like, and some of the challenges he faced while in office. My colleague Juliet caught up with him. Have a listen.
Oh yes, it's your girl.
That to try and make a complete story. Yeah.
Wow, that's nice. Okay, so now coming to you being the Vice Chancellor, your Vice Chancellorship, you were in Legon.
Yes.
As the Pro-Vice Chancellor in
Yes.
Research and Innovation. Then you were appointed, right?
Yep.
To be the Vice Chancellor of a young university coming up, and you had to leave Legon coming here. How was that? Were you okay with it? Like, how was the feeling having to leave?
Well, it's quite an interesting thing. Well, what many of you may not know is that I competed to become the Vice Chancellor of Legon University,
Wow.
and unfortunately, I didn't get it. Yeah, so. After 5 years of being the Pro-Vice Chancellor, they were looking for a Vice Chancellor here for a University of Health and Allied Sciences. And the Vice Chancellor must of necessity be a health professional. So I got a few emissaries coming to me to consider it. And well, I considered it and putting an application eventually, and that brought me here. Of course, when I came in here, I asked myself a few questions. Did I really make the right decision? Transitioning from Legon with almost everything at your disposal to a place where there was almost nothing was quite a challenge. And when I reflect and look back at what we have been able to achieve over the last 6 years, I think it's quite refreshing that we've been able to work together to achieve what is.
Talking about challenges, actually coming to school as a young student, I was wondering, I already liked UHAS, but I was like, the school is scattered and like you don't really know like your way, you can't find your way, you have to be taking car every now and then. But when I heard you speak about the plan for the school, I was like, oh gosh, even if I don't get to experience it, one day I could look at this and say, this was where I went. And I've always loved your stories about the school. So you mentioned challenges. I'm sure you have experienced and overcome so many challenges that has actually brought you to now. What would you say have been one of your most difficult and the most challenging thing you've experienced yet?
I'm not sure which is the most challenging one. There are quite a number of them. One of the basic things for every university is some basic infrastructure.
Okay.
And as you were alluding to, the infrastructure
Yeah.
just did not exist. But there has been a team that had been around for 4 years who have worked their backs to get things done up to that stage. And therefore, the least I could do was just to also get focused and build upon the strong foundations that had been laid. This was not the time for complaining. It was the time to build a coalition of the willing and look for resources from every possible area to get going. And that is what we've been able to achieve so far. And also with a little...
You can, of course, watch the full interview on YouTube on New Has-Base TV. Now to politics. The SRC would hold its first parliamentary meeting tomorrow, Saturday, on the 25th of July 2022. At the meeting, the House is expected to appoint a new electoral commissioner. The job of the commissioner would be to conduct free, fair, and transparent elections for the 2022 academic year. Following the tension and outcome of events that took place last year, there's a lot of attention on this year's electoral process. Well, I'm being joined now by our correspondent, Prince Emmanuel, to discuss this further. Please, you're welcome. Please, we hear that the SRC is about to appoint a new electoral commissioner. Please, can you tell us the role of the commissioner?
All right. So the electoral commissioner is just to ensure that the electoral commission have free, a fair, and a credible election. So the electoral commission is made up of the electoral commissioner, then 2 deputies, as well as 2 representatives from each campuses, 2 from the Hokwe campus and 2 from here, who are elected officers. Yeah. So.
Okay. Please, can you tell us what you think lots of students are going to be paying attention to this year's election?
All right, so this year's election, I would say it's a yes and it's a no, but I'll go for a bigger no because of a lot of issues that occurred about last year's election. Yes. Personally, I'll be the leader for the no because for a young institution like ours, who is not able to conduct a free and a credible election or for voting 2 consecutive times, we are not able to elect an SRC president. That means there is a problem with the whole election system. So they must go in and look at what actually is the problem. And last year, a lot of issues were raised. A lot of issues from the verification to the voting to the qualification of the members who are being elected to vote, and all those. A lot of issues were raised, and it was surprising that all those issues were not attended to before the election. So it made a lot of people not vote. For example, me like this, I wasn't able to have the privilege to vote last year because after verifying myself twice to see whether my details were there, and my details were even present in the register, on the day of voting, I realized that I was not able to, anytime I open my portal to vote, another person's face will appear on the page. And this was something I had raised before the second election took place. So if I had raised that concern, and I know about 10 to 20 people in my hostel who also face the same concern, then there is a large population of people out there who aren't able to vote just like me. So that's why I'm saying that we are the bigger no people who will not vote, because some people just vote because they think that they have a favorite day. But some of us, we vote because we know what we want. So if we are not getting that free and a credible election, I don't think we waste our time going in to vote again.
Okay, please, what do you think are the qualifications for being an electoral commissioner? All
right, so for electoral commissioner, first of all, the person must be a student of the school. And the person must qualify to be elected as an officer, and the person must have a GPA of not less than 2.5. And it was surprising that last year, this was one of the issues which made us not to have a president, like an SRC president. This was one of the issues which that came out, that some people were not, we didn't, the person who was being asked to be the vice president of one of the candidates couldn't attain that kind of GPA.
Wow.
And if the person could attain that kind of GPA, then there is a big question mark. Why is it that throughout the whole vetting process, throughout the electoral commission's whole vetting process, that person was not, that issue was not being pointed out? That means there is something that led to us not having that president, which made the whole process not to be free and fair and a credible one that we all want. Yeah.
Wow. Please, when does the job of an electoral commissioner end?
All right. So basically, then, as I said earlier, the job of an electoral commissioner, and like the electoral commission in general, is to ensure a free and a credible election. So anything that is different from that, it's not part of their job. They're just supposed to ensure, from the vetting of the aspirants to all the processes, they're just supposed to ensure that we have that qualified candidate and we have that person who will be able to lead us there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Please, we hope that this year's election will go as planned. Let's look at some of the day's other news. Two University of Health and Allied Sciences students have been awarded the I2C Lab Corp scholarship worth $1,000 each to sponsor their research and expenses. In an event that took place on Thursday, students and faculty were thrilled with the performance from different cultures. There's more in this report by Perpetual.
It was indeed a beautiful day as the UHAS community celebrates the Maiden International Day involving countries like India, Cuba, Nigeria, and Kenya. Some students spoke with UHAS-based TV.
I enjoy the Vice Chancellor's speech. You can see the progression of the university community from the start, and I was so enthused when he spoke about the various actors and international communities, their contributions to the university. I think having a community that is diversified and having community with gross people from different parts of the world would foster into a collaborative something. Like I really see UHAS in the next 5-10 years fulfilling whatever he said. So having a community, an international community and a diverse community, I think it's good.
It was indeed a memorable event, but the most memorable moment was the salsa dance, which took everyone by surprise, and the exhibition of various continental dishes. Reporting from Trafalgar campus for UHAS-based TV, I'm Naomi.
Also, there will be a vigil on the 26th of June 2022 to remember our former Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Samuel Saki. Okay, that's how we are going to end this week's edition of the News at 6. But we are going to leave you with this memorable moments from the event. From me and the rest of the team, have a good evening. Thank you.